Everyone, please, can you hear me? Am I audible enough? Can anyone hear me? All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, thank you. So hi, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to another exciting lightning section organized by Naija Java user group. And I'm glad to have you all here. So for those joining us for the first time, Naija Java user group is a community platform dedicated to bring together Java developers and technology developers across Nigeria and beyond. Our mission is centered around learning, collaborations, and professional growth within the Java ecosystem. So through this lightning section, monthly section, technical workshop, bootcamp, we aim to build a strong space where developers like you and me at every stage from junior, mid-level, senior needs to upskill, connect, and grow together. So we love you to become part of our community. For those that are just joining, yeah, we'll be dropping the links to all our social media handle in course of the section. So please join us and stay connected for future events. So without wasting much of our time, I'm moving straight into today's section. I am glad, and I believe Naija Java user group community is also glad and excited for today's section. And we're excited to host our speaker for tonight, who is not the person than Ayomide Falade. I hope I know more than him, by God's grace. And he's a software engineer at Paga. He's walking us through the skills nobody interviewed you for. Wow, that's amazing. And I'm very sure that this section is going to be packed and it's going to walk us through all we need to know, yeah, in regards to his topic. So I indulge you to stay put, learn, relearn, and learn. And before we begin, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to JetBrains for supporting us, and I believe someone will be going home with a giveaway tonight, courtesy of JetBrains. So for their support, we just want to say a very big thank you to them, and for the admins of Naija Java user group, I want to say a very big thank you to them. So with your warm reactions, I want you to react with your favorite reactions. You know, I've not met with Ayomide before, but I'm very sure he's really excited. He already has a coffee beside him. So I believe we should stay put on. Nobody is reacting except for Benga, Florence. Yeah, Oscar, thank you. Are you sure we are going to give Ayomide the room? Blessing never reacts in our section. Do not, Blessing never reacts. I've been looking at him. Okay, so Ayomide, please, you can have the floor. Thank you so much for having us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for the warm welcome. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, and I'll send my coffee to you virtually, remotely to you on LinkedIn. So it's a privilege to be a speaker here on the Naija Java user group, and I really appreciate what has been done so far. And I got to know about Naija user group from one of my colleagues at the office where I was watching something about multi-trading. And I went back to the YouTube channel, like on the NAIJA-JUG YouTube channel. If you check from the beginning of the channel, I started watching from the first, second, learning things from different speakers, and it has been great. And also, I really appreciate also being called upon to say something also. And when I was called by Mr. Samuel, right, everybody has been doing something technical and it has been high level and great. Then something stuck to me, like something happened at the office, which was like 2 weeks ago. Then I said, okay, how about if we discuss on soft skills, especially for software engineers, since we focus more on the technical skills, doing learning about multi-trading, learning about ASIC processing. How about if we learn about something that keeps us in team and also about ourselves as software engineers? So everybody, if you are ready with me, let's have a great deep dive. So I'll be sharing my screen now. Okay. Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. So can you see my screen properly now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So in courtesy of the NAIJA-JUG session, let's have a very good deep dive. So the skills nobody interviews you for, right? So that's our major topic. And it actually determines whether we are going to thrive in joining a team. And this revolves around when you join a new team. And this is something I've also faced, and I've seen senior people face, also juniors and interns face. So I think it's something that nobody really interviews you for that. I mean, they just ask you for cultural fit questions, do you know how to collaborate with teams? But now integrating when you join a new team is actually until 2-3 months when you have made a mistake, you've learned a lesson or two, then you look back and you are like, I could have done this better. So this is what it's all about, right? So we train engineers this is the problem. We train engineers to pass interviews. Nobody trains them for the Monday after they get the job, right? So these are my big takes. So it takes 90 days for an engineer, a new engineer, when he joins a new team, to feel truly productive on the team. And technical skills are mostly what is mostly looked for. And what trick people off when they get to the team is soft skills. And there are more 5 areas, 5 major gaps, which we'll be looking into, and these are the problems. So this is what we'll cover in this PowerPoint presentation. So all these gaps are gaps that I've gotten from research, communications with both junior, senior, even personal bias also. So the first one is communication gaps. Second one is code base and technical onboarding gaps. Thirdly, collaboration gaps. Fourth, attitude and ownership. Fifth, growth and visibility. So we'll be looking at communication gaps firstly, right? So when you join a new team, let's look at it from when you join an enterprise team using Java, large code base, you come into the team on a Monday, you've gotten your PC. So the first issue is you join the team, obviously you don't have context or clarity on a lot of things, right? Then probably you span up your local application of the company and you see that it's not working. So once it's not working, you just join the team. You don't know to ask questions. Sometimes when you ask questions, they are not properly clear. So, and this me speaking from the intern or new engineer or an upcoming engineer point of view. So it's not working, no errors. So when an engineer joins your company and they just send it's not working, the next question is, okay, can you send the error or what's going on? And I mean, it leaves the other person guessing. So as engineers, when you join a new company, it's very, very proper to when you face a new error, when you get an error, it's very, very important to add clarity to it. And communication is very, very important. And the second thing, which I also found valuable, was wrong channel, wrong urgency. So when you join a new team, the first thing first is trying to know what channel of communication engineers use. So when you join a new company, they probably have Slack, Discord, Link, different channels, different platforms. So there might be a platform for where the whole company operations, HR discuss, and there's going to always be a particular channel that all the software engineers are. And in that channel, in that platform, there are going to be different channels spanning from your team, general one, then probably emergency. So as a new engineer, when you join a company, you try to understand that, okay, you are giving Slack, you are on Slack now. The next thing you are supposed to ask is, what channel do we post code, especially when you raise pull requests? Okay, is there a channel for that? Okay, you're added there. Is there a channel for maybe within your team? So when you're added to a team, there has to be another set of team, or probably it depends on the company you are joining. So when you are added to that team, where you can raise quick issues. For instance, you are facing something critical, and it's something that another engineer in your team has faced, you can just post it on that channel. But imagine you don't even know, and you post it on probably data reimbursement channel. You see Paga technology data, and you post it there, right? I'm just giving an example. It's very wrong, and it gives it kind of wrong urgency, right? So when you join a new company, it's very, very important to ask these kind of questions. And thirdly, when you are onboarded in a new company, these are things that I see. And when new engineers join a new company, they don't know who to talk to, because we software engineers, we are so, everybody, I mean, even though you are trying to be an extrovert, right? Like, even though you are everybody, most software engineers are mostly introverts. They are staying logged in. Everybody's quiet, and you don't know who to talk to, right? You don't know who to talk to, how they will reply to you. So you just keep quiet when you are stuck. You don't say anything, right? And we have this, most engineers have this thing of, I'll fix it by myself. Like, okay, I'll do it. I'll try to make sure I do it by myself. But when you have been stuck on it for a long period of time, and you ask another engineer, and they just tell you, like, there's a documentation for it, and you go to the documentation and you fix it within 10 minutes, and you're like, this is something you could have done within that span of 10 minutes, and you've wasted a whole lot of time. So it's very, very important to ask questions. This revolves about asking questions, regardless of, you just have to come out of your shell and ask questions. And 4, this is something that everybody sees, right? You hear that if you are facing this issue, go and meet John, go and meet Oscar, go and meet this person, right? So it's very, very important, like, after your whole onboarding process, if there was a new, when you get a new documentation, they give you documentations on how to get things running, and you get in different kind of error. It's very, very important. You owe it to the company and to the person coming behind you to update the documentation. This is what I saw when I did this. This is the new update. When I tried to install Java 17, this is what happened. So it's very, very important for you to also do that for the person coming behind you. So our next one is going to be code base and technical onboarding gaps. So this is where our superpower lies, what you actually hired to do on the job. So, and this is something I've been a victim to myself. I mean, compared to senior engineers, senior engineers are, when you join a new company, the most junior engineer is more valuable than a new senior engineer. And that's because the junior engineer has more context, important context on everything, on how things work. So it's very, very important to ask questions, also for you to try to look at things. So the first thing we look at is waiting to understand everything first. So you don't need to wait to understand everything first. It's very important to try to see how one service communicates with the other, how this thing works, how that works. So you can actually strive to get small tickets, even though it's for fixing a bug. These are things that would not when you understand your code base. So when you try to fix a minor bug, when you are trying to debug, you'll be able to see there's a security context class, there's a payment service class, there's a financial transaction class. So from understanding from that small ticket, you'll be able to see this, you'll be able to see the flow of how things work. And secondly, skipping tests. So you have to look at the test folder. You try to look at if there's a test folder in that code base. And because it is mostly a mocks, you'll be able to understand and see context properly when you see the test folders. So it's very, very important to read them first. And the third one we'll be talking about is refactoring in 1 week. You have to understand code. I mean, clean up code before understanding why it was written that way. So you have to understand why a code was written in a kind of style or in a kind of pattern. And also almost similar with what I'll say with number 4, writing code their way. When you join a new team, right? I'm going to give an example. So when I joined Paga, so you know when you come to a company that's been in since 17 years, right? Still in Java, old Java, not Spring. You see the way you are seeing you see a class, you see properties, you see there's a setter method, there's a getter method, and new age engineers, you just use use annotations to do all that. You use builder, you use all apps constructor. You want to try to bring those new things, right? Then you discover that the way they write them, there's a reason why they did those things, right? So it's very, very important to know that this is how they wrote it. This is why they did this. So a new engineer came on board one time, was like, why do we have interface for everything? I told him that there's an interface because there's a very, very high possibility that another method will be added there. He said, why don't just write it as a service class straight up? I said, because we have different services, it has to be reusable. He said, how come? He said, how much can it be reusable? I said, you should check the code base. So he went to an interface and he just spread his command and clicked on the method on the interface. Then he saw like 30 other classes using the interface. Then he shouted, I was like, see, when you come here, everything are reusable. You write code and make sure that it is reusable. You don't add code things. You have to put it in a way that another service can be able to use it, right? So you have to understand team conventions. You have to know why. You have to follow that pattern. I mean, things change. Everything is changing, but you have to understand why and the context of using that pattern. And that's why it goes back to my first, what I said previously, that when a junior engineer is more valuable at that moment than a senior engineer, because he has context, he has more reason on why they're doing things. So we'll move on to collaboration gaps, right? So this is where things get blurry, especially for engineers. So most times, as a junior or senior, I've seen it across every span. When you join a new team, you raise PRs, pull requests, and you see someone make a comment, another person they make a comment. I mean, it works, everything works. Probably the way you wrote the code is not reusable, or is not, another person will find it difficult to read. I think a lot of people, no matter how detached you want to say you have from your code, if someone comments on your code, you fix it, another person comments on your code, fix it, there's going to be a form of attack that you feel like, why is this person doing like this? But you have to take it as a form of criticism, as a as a form of positive criticism. So you have to ask, okay, there's a reason why they said I should do this way. There's a context why it all revolves around context. So PR feedbacks are not personal. Sometimes when you don't have context on it, you can audio the person of call. So I'm going to give this example. See the same way I joined Paga, right? Because Paga is my very big enterprise company I joined. So our system architect, when I came, I raised PR, pull request. I did it. Then he just posted he just made the comments on the PR. He just added why. In my own opinion, I was like, why? I thought maybe I did something wrong. I went to delete the pull request. Then he asked me that, Ayomide, why did you delete the pull request? I said, you said why? He said, explain why you did this. So I was like, okay. I explained and said, okay, he has worked on the code base for a long time. So he just wanted to know why I'm doing it that way. So I raised the PR again. And the next day, I raised another PR. Then he added why, then he added, please don't delete the PR. So it's not a personal, it's not an attack. It's a way of having to explain yourself. Sometimes a senior engineer or someone can just go there, they see the way you write the code, they need to understand why. Like it might be another person from another team, but they might just, why did you do this way? So it's not like they're attacking you or they are trying to pull your PR down. Sometimes it might be a PR you have been working on a long time. So, but they just need to know context, especially with the way things are, especially in a financial institution, right? You don't want a situation where something is breaking in prod or money is getting lost. Those who approve the PR or senior engineers who approve will be held responsible. So the second one is having the idea that senior must be right. Yes, especially when you look at the experience gap. No matter, everybody has this thing, but especially when we see someone that has 30 years experience, 20 years experience, most of the time they are right? Most of the time. So sometimes you just need to ask questions. So you have to ask that, okay, if someone said, you can ask them why. Not because you are countering their opinion, but because you want to understand why. Because another person can come, or probably you meet yourself in another situation, or maybe in another pull request, and you did it with the senior said you should do it, or another person said you should do it. And you ask, why did you say I should do it? Well, you did not ask the senior then the question. So you are left blank. So it's very, very important. Like, even though it's, and I appreciate Paga for one thing, like they give room for always asking, okay, why did you do this? Then they explain properly, like no matter the KEDA or anybody, they always ask, you can ask why. Okay, why are we doing this? Why are we implementing it this way? Okay, this is the reason why. So it's very, very important to ask a senior question. So once you do something, you get a PR comment, you can ask why. That I did this way. You can give your own flow. I did it this way. I did this that way. Or you said I should do it this way. Why? So that's when they can give their own opinion. That's when they can give you more clarity on it, on why you are doing it. So the third one is struggling alone for hours, not asking for a 15-minute PS session when genuinely stuck. So it's very, very important. Like, we are software engineers, we want to actually solve our problems alone, majority of the time. But when you are now working with a team is, you people are coming together to achieve a goal. It's not a competition. So when you join a new team, when you join a new company, it's not, everybody wants to achieve their personal goals, but at the end of the day, if something comes down, everybody's going to be blamed for it. So instead of you trying to struggle for a whole amount of hours, you can actually solve all that problem by just asking somebody a question. It's still revolving around communication. So you can just ask for a 15 or 20 minutes review from somebody. I'm facing this issue. Can you help me? So sometimes everybody might be busy. Everybody can put on their Slack status focused mode. So you can just tell them, like, what time works conveniently for you. So for me, before, I'll just order you. But everybody like, okay, he just came in. Then with time, they started telling me that, Ayo, you have to make sure that when you're ordering us, it sinks you when we are comfortable. So sometimes they might be working overnight and they just want to do some little things and rest. So you have to make sure that you ask that, okay, is this time comfortable for you? What time is comfortable for you to help me? And you find out that all these issues you are facing that's taking you 10, 20 hours to fix, it can be done within just 1 hour peer review. So that's one of the things I see when new engineers join a company. And also, no middle ground in meeting. So when you join a new company, I mean, nobody wants to just, you have to always context. So when they are saying something or when there's a meeting going on concerning system design, concerning architecture, so concerning deep dive, it's okay to stay mute if you don't know what you want to say. So, but at a point when you have gotten 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, they expect you to be able to say something. So you don't need to, if you don't have what to say, it's okay to just not say anything. But it's very, very important to like at least give a comment, maybe a positive comment or a positive criticism if you have any, or just keep quiet as usual, as I said previously. So it's very, very important to also put in effort to understand what they are saying also. Now, attitude and ownership. So this is where it's very, very important for engineers, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can be so good, you can be good in Java, be the best in Java in the world, but if you are not easy to work with, nobody will want to work with you. Nobody will even want to, people might just ignore you. And also ownership is very, very important. And this is something that we'll go into a deep dive on. Please, is there any question or any comments from anybody?
Okay,
Hello?
Ayomide, we'll give room to questions at the end of the presentation.
Session. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that works. So, attitude and ownership. So, confidence mistaken for competence. Guessing out loud instead of saying, I don't know yet. So, almost the same thing as I said previously. When you don't know something, it's okay to just, keep quiet. You don't know it. And probably after, when you get context, you can just chip in a little comment. And secondly, waiting to be told what to do. So when you join a new company, you get your first ticket, you work on it. After you raise the PR, you expect the QA team to continue from there. It's very, very important for you to be able to make sure that you see that your that your ticket is cleared from end to end. And when I'm saying end to end is from the beginning when you do your own part, the testing from beta to and prod. So it's not that when it works, when you raise your PR, you've done it and you ignore. They should go and do it. You assign to a QA. It's very, very important to see through it. Sometimes everybody, at the end of the day, we are all humans, right? So you have to be able to make sure it's being you taking ownership of that ticket. Sometimes it might be a ticket that is very, very important. Maybe we are losing money at that instance, or something is going on, or they need that feature quick. It's very, very important for you as a software engineer. And that's what this topic is. This module, this part is what separates engineers. When you see an engineer that takes ownership to see something that works from end to end. So when you get the ticket, you work on it, you speak with your PM, you see the urgency. After you see the urgency, you start working on it, you raise your first PR, you want it to be code reviewed, right? So sometimes many engineers can be, for me, this is what I do, right? When I say a lot of engineers are busy, I tag them on the normal public channel. I've raised the PR, I've done that. Then the next day, if it has not been attended to, I refresh. Then the next day during stand up, I try to tell them that, okay, this thing has not been reviewed. And instantly they check it. They see any mistake, I work on it immediately, raise the PR back. Once I've seen it has been merged, immediately the QA team might be doing another thing, right? They too, they have their own tickets, they are onboarding, or they are doing a lot of things. So it's very, very important for you to go and meet the QA team. I've raised this thing to beta, right? You go and meet them, you start with them, make sure that you test it. It tests better. You speak with your PM. It tests, it works. Okay, let's raise the PR to prod. You raise it on prod. At the end of some engineers after prod, you just mark the ticket as done. No, you don't do that. After you raise the ticket to prod, you see that it has successfully been deployed to prod. You go back to the people using that product, or even if it's an application that is on your phone, you can actually go and test it on your own, and you can see that it's actually working as it is, then you can just, that's you seeing something working from end to end. And it's very, people notice it, especially when you make sure that, and also it allows you to see the flow of how things work. So thirdly, blaming the environment. So the ticket wasn't clear instead of owning the miscommunication. And this is something that I faced also. We as software engineers, at the end of the day, our code, if it's not solving the problem, no matter the lines of code, 10,000 lines of code, is actually useless at the end of the day, right? So it's very, very important when you get a ticket from the support or PM, it's very, very important for you to ask questions. What was happening before? Why is it failing now? Who are those using it? So this gives you, it gives you an overview of what you are going to say in the code base. And if you actually, and when I spoke with a lot of our engineers that were coming in, because I always have conversations with everybody, then I spoke with a new guy, his name is Godwin. We listed out the flows of when you get the ticket, giving context, writing it down, and also looking at the test results, looking at the previous of how it works, then debugging. So when you take this thing out, when you take it out, when you get context of what is going on, it makes it easy for you to actually close that ticket. So for instance, let's say you are given a water bottle. Everybody knows that a water bottle, we open it from here. But I mean, that's the popular framework of water bottle, open from the top. Let's say we are using that as a fintech system, right? So what about if my own company, we are opening the bottle from here, right? But we don't want it to be opened here anymore, want it to be here. But you as the engineer, you come in, you don't even know that this exists. And you go and start tackling this guy here. It's miscommunication of context. So it's very, very important for you to have business context of anything you are doing, for any product you are doing. It's very, very important. So once you get a ticket, you look at the context, then you now look at it through the code base, and it makes it easy for you to work on it. So fourthly, measuring against seniors. So as an engineer, when you go into a company, you hear somebody has been working for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Everybody used to do this check and balances, right? And especially when you join a team. So for me, I was privileged to join the Paga engine team, where we have a lot of experienced engineers, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. So I was the engineer with the least experience. So that means when they are speaking on the high level, I have to follow through with my head as fast as possible. So when you are around those kind of people, right, there's no how the seniority will rub off on you, right? And also especially when you are in a team with those kind of people, when you are getting tickets, you might feel that you are not doing up to their level. It happens because when you hear them, okay, yes, somebody, we are working on overdraft, we are working on bulk payments, I end those kind of things, and you are just working on a minor project. You're like, yo, give me these tickets like them. So it's an ego thing, right? Everybody has ego, right? So when I was having this issue, I was closing tickets, but there was still void in me, like, I need hard tickets. I was asking like, give me hard tickets that will make me run. So like, Ayo, calm down. You'll get it. So you tend to measure yourself against seniors. And one of them told me that, see, Ayomide, you are young. We've been in this game for a long time. Right before you even started writing your first line of code. Calm down. Rome was not built in a day, right? So you just have to understand that this is your own time. You've started at the right time. No matter the time you are starting, that's actually your right time. So it's a privilege to be working among high-level people. So the best thing you can do is to gain knowledge from them, learn from them. And after that conversation, everything became so easy, right? It's made it easy for me to ask the right questions, learn something from them. Okay, for instance, I had a new engineer for me to transact. He's more experienced than me. He knows threads like the back of his hand, like even in his sleep, he knows about threads. So I was like, how come? So it was coming from a multi-threaded environment. So it's different from us here. And when I spoke with him, he taught me a lot of things, how to load test, how to, it taught me how to probably look at how trade works. And this is something I'll not have known, right? Even I was trying to measure that he's a new guy, and it's something that is an ego thing, right? So you don't need to measure yourself against seniors. It's something that you have to do step by step. It's a process and it's a career. So that's why there's intern level, there's junior level, there's senior level, there's staff engineer, there's principal engineer. So those guys that we look up to or that we see before us followed these processes, they follow these steps. So you don't see them as competition, you see them as people that you should learn from, right? So, and that brings us to the next one. When you join a new team, growth and visibility. So, especially when you are doing great work, zero visibility. So, this kind of happened to me. I was like, I'm closing tickets. Like they should see it on the hierarchies. The idea is closing tickets on the PR tags. So it's very, very important to note things that you've done. Especially in stand-ups, when you are doing your daily stand-up, what did you do last week? That's why stand-up exists. Stand-up exists, right? So it allows people to, okay, it allows engineers to, okay, this is what I was working on, this is where it stopped. So you have to always not like be loud, like just scream loud about your work, but jotting it down that this is what you did. And especially when it comes to yearly review, performance review. So anything that cannot be measured, right, it's not visible. So it has to be measured. So you can, after all your work for a week, so I think that it's cut across companies where there's a sheet that you write what you did last week, the previous week, and also you can have your own sheet, your own personal sheet, that this is what I did, this is what I did the previous week also. So also, you don't need waiting for the annual review. Instead of asking for feedback in the moment, you can ask for review every week. So I think it's more of a personal thing. You can speak with your manager, because when you join a new company, you are senior or junior, you are always going to be attached to a manager, right? You can ask them, how did I perform last quarter? How did I do well? Is there anything I need to improve on? And that's why there's always a one-on-one meeting, right? That's actually why one-on-one meeting with your manager exists. So you can ask them, what are loopholes that you see in my performance or in my attitude or in my ownership? And this is where they tell you your loopholes. And it's not like they are speaking against you. It's very important for you to get criticism, whether positive or negative, because if you always want to hear positive, you'll not be able to work on the negative part of you, right? At the end of the day, we're all human. So it might be maybe the way you attend to things, you are not attending to things quickly. And it might not even be your technical prowess that is the issue. It might be the way you attend to things, the way you reply. So these are things that you should always ask review for. And also, avoiding stretch tasks, staying in the comfort zone out of fear of visible failure. So this is one thing about when you join a new company. Everybody don't want to break things at the end of the day. Nobody wants to be the engineer that made our company lose 100 billion in 1 second. Nobody wants to be that person. So especially when you join a new company, especially when there was a time that someone pushed something to prod and we lost 10 million per minute. Nobody wants to be there, right? So it does not mean like you are breaking things. At the end of the day, you need to come out of your comfort zone. You need to ask for the hard tasks. At the end of the day, you'll be given hard tasks. So at the point I told my PM, like, please give me more high-level tasks. Give me one. And he gave me one in January that I battled with till ending of March. And I came out stronger, right? I mean, that was the biggest, that was the thing that made me, that gave me the power to do more to do more hard tasks this year, and it increased my performance, right? So if you ask for more tasks, especially difficult ones, maybe probably out of failure or staying on it for a long time, that okay, this task will make me stay on it for a long time, a month. But at the end of the day, when you achieve it, it makes it easy for you to do other things. And lastly, no network beyond the team. So this is where a lot of engineers miss it out, right? Where they are just confined into their own team. Like I only speak to engineers in my own team. It doesn't work that way. So for me, I have colleagues across teams. I have friends across teams. For instance, in support, if I need something in support, I don't have to meet Ikechukwu because he's there in support. If I don't have to meet someone in MC, I don't have to meet Oscar. If I don't have to meet someone in Doroki, I know who I have to meet. So, and also you can gain mentors outside your own team. So, as I said previously, when you are among team of other engineers, right, you are confined within that team, right? But when you speak with other people, other engineers from other teams, you see that they have their own different way of thinking because it's different team. So they do different things, right? So you can implement the way an engineer is doing something there in your own daily work. So you can not just have only mentor within your team, you can have mentor across other teams. Sometimes when I just want to share something about leadership or experience, something that they've gone through in their previous role, because someone that has had 15 or 8 years, 10 years, they have seen the end and beginning of everything. So sometimes I just go to them, ask them questions, and I see it as a fun day, right? See it as a way of collaboration, knowing things, also knowing them, and also picking a topic. So there was a time at the office, we were discussing about something, and someone mentioned about undertow, right? So I was like, so it was something like everyone was like, what is undertow? So I was like, okay, I will go and research about it. And it gave me knowledge. So I started building a project on it. And if that kind of conversation did not happen outside, it's not even in my team. So if that kind of conversation did not happen, I will not even know about it, even till now. So it's very, very important to mingle with other engineers, speak with them, and there might be opportunities from them, not even within your company. You can speak with engineers outside your company. So sometimes when I take the bus, sometimes I see other engineers from other companies. We speak, we have conversations, not about internal things, but we just speak about things in general. So I met someone from Paystack, talked about Node.js. I meet a lot of engineers when I'm going to the office, right? And not even just engineers, just people within the company, not just engineers alone. You can speak with people in the operations, people in admin, people actually using the tool. You can speak with customers, and this gives you more context on how things work. So you are not just confined to just software engineering. You can speak with the marketing team. So there was a time like the marketing team wanted to track something. So because I was always been having interaction with them, she just told me like, Ayomide, can you to do these tasks? Like, I don't know how to create a ticket on Jira because I'm not a PM. So I'm like, okay, speak to my PM and we'll just raise a ticket. And within the second day, raise it to prod, and it was working fine. So it makes it easy when it gives you a whole span of knowledge, a whole world of knowledge. So not just being confined in one thing. And we are coming to the end of this. So we look at, these are the 5 gaps I mentioned. We have the communication gaps, code-based and technical onboarding gaps, collaboration gaps, attitude and ownership, growth and visibility. And this is your first 90 days, a checklist. You can revisit it monthly. And this is what I did and what other people I asked for also did. So you trace one request end to end before changing anything. So when you are given a task, probably to work on something, you can trace it end to end before even changing anything. You see how it works. You use your debugger, check how it is, check through the logs, see how it works. Also, which I mentioned again, ask questions with context. What you tried, what you expected, and what happened. So you have to track, let's say something that is causing failure or something that is what do we call this thing? Something that is causing duplication. You have to try it. Then you tell them that this is what is happening. Sometimes you might get a ticket, and what the ticket is saying is actually different from what is happening, and you'll be shocked. So you can tell them that this is what is in the code base, but this is what you said I should do. So it makes them look at it again, and they rewrite the ticket to you. And once you try your blockers, once you have a blocker, if sometimes, I mean, we are different. Some people, they don't say anything as a blocker until after 4 hours. For me, 30 minutes having a blocker is not a blocker. Until when I've done it like 12 o'clock, I'm like, okay, this is a blocker. This is where I can shout out. So, and when I ask questions, I see that it's something that I could have done within minutes. So you can quickly flag blockers so as not to waste productive time and energy. So also you can build a personal grocery of domain terms in 1 week. So especially when you join a new industry. So for instance, I'm in the financial industry, you might join the e-commerce industry or any other industry or even health management industry. So every industry has their own terms. So sometimes you might hear something about subsidiary accounts, you might hear something about different kind of terms. That's for the financial terms, right? So sometimes you can just look at it like, okay, today, I want to know what this thing is. I want to know what virtual account is. So you trace it to see what it means, and it gives a personal overview of what it means. Also, as I said previously, ask for feedback every few weeks. You don't need to wait for review. Speak with your product manager, your PM, your colleague, or anybody that you feel like they can give you a review of what you've done. And also, always, if you don't know something, shout out. I always say, for me personally, if I don't know anything, I don't pretend. Like, even though if it's somebody that is 12 years old that knows it more than me, I'll tell him, I don't know. And everybody knows me that I'm very, very, once I don't know something, I don't need to pretend. I mean, I can tell you, like, I'll go and research. But you have to explain. So I research. So don't be shy to, or don't be ashamed or shy to say it out loud that you don't know something. At the end of the day, we're all growing, we're all learning. Nobody is an ocean of knowledge. We are learning new things every day. So always, if you don't know something, it's okay to always scream out, I don't know it, and ask questions at the end of the day, right? And that brings us to the end of our war stories, and we can go ahead with questions and disagreements.
Well, this is incredible. Please, can we react with our favorite emojis, please? Wow, none is missing. Indeed, things that nobody interviews us about. So, do we have any questions in the house? Anyone have any? I don't believe there should be a question, but if there's any question.
Any question, feedback, conversations?
All
Yeah.
right, so we have 2 hands up now. Okay. Olayinka, please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ayo. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, Olayinka. Really.
Okay, thank you very much for the talk. It really inspired me more. So, luckily for me, I'm a junior. I just started Spring Boots recently. And luckily for me, I interned in a company that they use Java, but they use a old Java framework, Play framework. I don't know that. So I've been going through the code base for a while, and you said something about you mentioned something about the new Gen Zs saying you want to use I could not find things like the all app constructor,
Yeah.
lombok, all those things. So would you advise me? There are a lot of things that I found like complicated, and it's a very huge code base. So would you advise me currently that since I'm currently learning Spring Boot and my company's code base was built on Scalise BT and Play framework. Would you tell me to also seriously look into it more, or I should just focus because I work there as a front end developer actually. That was where I
Yeah.
intend to just yeah. So would you advise me, because I'm really trying to also build my skill there. Most of the issues they raise most times are back-end issues. And I'm always interested to do more actually, but I would you advise me to also look more into that part, or I should just focus on the Spring Boot instead more?
Okay, so that's a very, very great question. And yes, I will advise you to look at what they are doing, right? Because what they are doing right now is actually making them money. And okay, so what they are doing right now actually makes them money, right? So it's something you have to live by. It's something you have to understand. You can actually still learn your Spring Boot by the side, because Spring Boot is what not everybody, new companies are using, but there's a reason why that company. You said the code base is large, is a big code base, is an enterprise code base, right? And this happens in a whole lot of companies. So it's very, very important. You have to learn what is existing, because you don't know where you might meet it later. You might think that, okay, when you want to leave this company, you have escaped it. But you might get to another company and you see that probably they are using that kind of thing also. So not to be limited by a scope, you have to learn that. And also after work hours, your weekends, you can learn your Spring Boot. It's not a bad idea to learn your Spring Boot by the side. So learn what your current company is, what you are doing in your current company, and also by the side keep doing your Spring Boot and combine both. And also you'll be able to. Also, there are some things that you should also ask them. Why are they doing it this way? Because ask them. They know about Spring Boot. It's not as if they cannot rewrite the whole code base to Spring Boot. But ask them, why did they use it? Why when they used it? So you can ask them questions. And when you finally get context, at the end of the day, it's all about context, right? So once you ask them questions on Monday or tomorrow, when you go to just why did you guys use this? Why are you guys why are you not using Spring Boot? And you see someone will finally answer you. This is why we did this at this time. We know that maybe we should use this now, but this is what is working. But we have other services that are built on Spring Boot, or we tend to build something on Spring Boot. And you can look at it from the positive side. They might want to move to Spring Boot at a later time. So that's where you come in, you that are learning your Spring Boot. When you are done with your internship, probably you're not a software engineer then. And when they want to probably build a mini project, a mini service with Spring Boot, this is where your knowledge comes in. So you are now going to probably have or be a lead there, or be one of the engineers that will be championing Spring Boot there. So learn what is existing, ask them questions why, and also be moving on with your new technology, which is Spring Boot. Does that answer that question properly?
Yes, sir, very well. I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no,
Thank you.
yeah, no need to call me, sir. Just call me Ayomide. Yeah.
All right.
All right, Collins, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good
Thank you
evening.
very much for this section. Like, it's worth it. Like, I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the part that you say that always ask questions and always respect the seniors, the CTOs and the rest of them. So my question is that, like, I'm just seeking an advice. How do you deal with when you have a CTO that is impossible? And there are some that are kind of arrogant, like they don't understand what it means in time. They call you like by 12 a.m. How do you deal with them? Like, let me use the word impossible. Some of them are so impossible. How do you
Yeah,
deal with them? Because we
so
always try to be polite, always smile, even when it's paining. You brush over it, but deep down you know that this is not right. How do you deal with them?
that I'll be honest, in my whole career, I've never met an impossible CTO. I'll be honest. So even me myself, like in all the companies I've worked, I've never even had the chance to speak with the CTO. So my own line is my manager, team lead, technical delivery manager. So I've never had it's open to speak with the CTO, but a direct contact with the CTO. But I've met, with my experience, I've asked other engineers before, right? Like, what about if your CTO is archaic? And I've asked senior engineers too. So I've asked senior engineers who have worked at banks before. In fact, one of the reasons why they left bank was because there was no new technologies. They go to stand up, like once they are going to stand up, it tells me that stand up on Monday morning. For me at Paga, when stand up, everybody at Paga on Monday morning, everybody is eager to work, everybody wants to go to the office. And when one of our seniors said, on Sunday evening like this, that he needs out to go and start crying. So I think, in my own opinion, is just to still manage. It's still to manage and seek new opportunities, right? And sometimes, if we are looking at it from the technical part, where they don't want to move to new technologies, let me just put it in that part, right? So some CTOs, they might just be like, so one of our engineers, Adiola, mentioned that they're using a kind of programming language, right, that was very archaic, that nobody even knows it. So he said he had to live there and he just had to still manage. He was even a team lead there and he still found the CTO very, 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 very archaic and somehow. So it's just still manage there, learn what you have to learn. I think one of the greatest quotes I've seen is that being a great learner is even being able to learn from someone you don't like. If you can master that skill, I know there's a kind of environment you always wish for where you can say your opinion, you are not feeling bad about yourself. And I understand that in some environments, they are not even giving you room for failure. I understand because I see my own as a privilege, right? So sometimes there are not room. I mean, all these things here I mentioned, I only worked in an environment where there is room for failure, where they don't speak down on people, right? Because at the end of the day, I've spoken with people and they're like, some things that they overlook here, that okay, you roll back, you do this. Instantly, they are removing from your salary. Instantly, you are on a query. So it differs across environments, right? So I think it's just to be applying for better opportunities. I don't really have much of a say, just to still apply and look for something better. So there's always something better at the end of the day, right? So you don't allow anybody to make you feel like you are not good or you are not better. I'm telling you. So just try new opportunities, keep doing what you are doing, and everything will get better with time.
All right, so before we take the next question, for those that are just joining us, I've been dropping social media handle link in the chat, so you can go ahead and join our communities. We have developers over 500 in our community, so you can be one of them. And I also want to apologize for exceeding the time frame. Is there anybody that wants to ask questions outside the two hands so we can conclude? All right, so we are going with these three persons, yeah? After that, we close the curtain for quiz.
Okay.
Someone, you can go ahead, unmute and ask your questions.
No, the others can go. I'll go after.
Okay.
All right, so you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, all right. Good evening. I think this is a very informative session. So I think I raised my hand because of the last question. There's a person that asked as regards how to deal with difficult managers. Yeah, like Ayomide also, personally, I've not really had experience with, difficult manager, but somehow, somewhere, I got into that kind of phase, somewhere in my career with somebody, which more or less like indirect relationship, like still at work, right, or engagement, so to say. So, I think mostly in that kind of situation, your level of contribution to the team often determines how the person or the CTO would approach you. So the CTO often look at, okay, what is this person's skill? How does this person like? You're giving two tasks, and the city is expecting, maybe they're giving maybe story points to maybe 2
Sorry, sir.
days.
The person speaking, are you a CTO?
No, I am not a CTO actually.
I think you're deviating from the question.
Okay.
You had the unfortunate privilege of working with bad managers.
Okay.
So you are not helping him with your response. Because there are some CTOs that are there to make sure that they are the only ones that are the best in the company, and that every other person under them should remain under them. So if you are saying it's coming from the angle of checking the capability of the person under him, you are talking about a good CTO, and that's not the person he's referring to. There are terrible CTOs that you work with and you hate your life. It takes the grace of God for you to do what the speaker said. Learn from somebody you don't like. It takes a lot of energy. Trust me. It's not funny, but it's the best move you can make. Here is my advice. If you are working with a terrible CTO, I will assure you of one thing. There is a lot you can learn from him. I've had the privilege of working with CTOs that hide information from those under them so that they will fail and they can look like the best staff in the company. It's a terrible thing, especially when you're working with Nigerian CTOs. And I've also had the privilege of working with good ones too, who will teach you as if you are starting programming that day. Sorry to have cut you short, but I just didn't
Well,
want you.
I was actually, I was making a point, right? And I wasn't going to encourage him to enjoy being with a terrible CTO.
No,
Okay.
he has to. Let's tell ourselves the truth. It is not a canned C that makes a good sailor. That's the truth. There are no good sailors on a calm sea. You know a good sailor when the sea is troubling and it's a tempest. So here is what I'll tell you. Some CTOs go out of their way to make you look bad, to make you look like you don't know what you're doing. But like the original speaker said, don't lose your confidence. Keep your head down and learn. Because truly there may be things you don't know that the CTO knows. So you have to be innovative. On your own, go through the code base to find out what the CTO is hiding. There are some companies where you see people, they take months to understand the code base, not because they don't know how to read code, but because you have a CTO that is not ready to explain to you what was done, why it's done. Like he said something in their development flow, the manager asked him why. Some CTOs are not asking you why to know why you did what you did. They're asking you to know whether you can think straight, whether you be Olodo or not. They're
All
not
right.
asking you why based on
Thank
the
you
work.
so much, Mr. Blessing. I think we have a procedure. You should raise your virtual hand. Yeah. Everybody has their own opinion to give. Yeah. So, Tolu, you can still go ahead, if you don't mind.
Well, I think I will leave it at that so that we'll keep the same hours. Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Brian, you can unmute and ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, AY. I just want to ask a simple question, though. Um, so this question goes to AY, though. So my question is, someone asked a question initially regarding, lately what we do is basically, recently, most developers do Spring Boot. So situations whereby you are being possibly you joined a new company and you get to realize that most of their code base are enterprise level code base. So what and possibly maybe you have to pick up the essay task within 2 weeks. What is the best flow or way you feel or the approach you feel someone can take to be able to familiarize himself or to be able to catch up as fast as possible with that legacy code base?
Okay, that's a very good question. So, you know, we have when we build our backend applications, the normal engineer would think that okay, there's going to be a front-end application, probably React. So when I joined Paga, the next thing they said I should work on the front end. So I was okay, where's the front-end code? And when they said this is the back end, I was like, where's the back end? Where's the front-end code in the back end? And they told me there's a GSP file. That was, I'll be honest, that was my first time seeing a GSP file in my life. I'm like, what the heck is this? So I was like, wait, so these guys wrote this thing without AI then. So I had to take my time. I went to YouTube. I mean, I could not, but I just had to understand how GSP works. Okay, this is how it worked. Then I saw it, then started tracing, seeing the .xml files, started tracing it, how it works, how it connects to the backend. They don't even use a normal controller. So it's an enterprise code base. You will see them in .gsp. If you are joining any this GSP file, time leave. If you are even privileged, time leave. So I saw it, then I said, okay, it's now our usual front end. Then I saw it, watched the course on YouTube, just like a crash course, just to understand how it works. Then use AI to give me context, and I closed the ticket. And before you knew it, I see a GSP file, or when I see a kind of ticket, I know it's a GSP file, it's not front end. And since then, I've been going in and out of the code base where I want. So, your question back. Once you see once you enter an enterprise company, it's an enterprise company for a reason, right? So that's why they are big. So that's why they are big. They can hire you. So you go there. They are hiring you to not just to bring what is existing, to bring what you know, but to also learn what is existing. That's why you're an engineer. An engineer is not limited to just what they know. You have to learn the ability to learn previous from what exists. Because with time, these guys are getting old. Who are those that would take over the code base? It's still we, the new engineers. So it's not something that we have to start calling somebody that has left the company like 15 years ago, right? So it's very, very important to learn what exists, keep learning what is the new frameworks, and carry on with what you are doing. And with AI, you are good.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But we did not see in the office today.
Oh, okay.
All right, colleagues, mid-time. Samuel, please, can you make it brief? You can unmute and speak.
That's fine. I think the points I wanted to make has been cleared. I think let's not take too much time.
Okay.
All right. I don't know how to describe this, but I just want to say a very big thank you to Ayo for taking us this time to break this into pieces. Yeah. And thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us your precious time as a developer. You know, we are paid for our time. Thank you for giving us your precious time this night to enlighten us on these things. We really appreciate. And we hope to see you in our upcoming events. Yeah. So you always see us in your DM. So yeah, okay, thank you so much. So our next lightning section will still be on Tuesday, and flyer will be out in the course of the week. Naija Java user group will be +1 next month, so there will be a lot next month. Yeah, so just stay tuned. And also, I promised to give someone a giveaway tonight. 3 persons asked a question, so I'm going back with my prize. 3 persons. Who was the first person that asked the question? I think that was before Collins. Olayinka. Yeah. Olayinka, do you use IntelliJ?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. I believe you have a token, right? Should we give it out to someone else?
I
If
don't
you have the
know.
Oh, you don't have. Okay, so just drop your email in the chat. You want my prize tonight. It was supposed to be
Thank you.
Daniel. Daniel was the first person, but Daniel didn't ask question. I'm sorry. So we'll meet again next week. Do have a lovely night. But Olayinka, drop your email before you leave. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Do enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you so much.